your gateway to AI and the cloud. Get up to date with recent trends in cloud.
Welcome back to AI and Cloud Tech. So today we'll be talking about MCP. As you know, MCP is the latest buzzword for AI agents. And MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So I would like you to understand MCP as a standard protocol for connecting AI models and external tools. So instead of writing custom API wrappers for every tool, we use MCP servers that expose tools via a standard interface. So there's one great distinction between your MCP and your API. So MCP servers run as child processes. Your main application communicates with them via standard in and standard out using JSON RPC messages. While for your API, you typically call in a function which is able to send messages directly to an external server, which is different from your MCP. Your MCP runs as a sub-process on your local machine or your server. So today's project, we want to see how we can create an AI agent to easily search the internet, looking for things we want to search about or things we want to buy. So it's a simple web interface made with Streamlit, and then we have our AI model, which is Claude, running on AWS Bedrock. Then we'll also create an MCP server. So we'll be creating two MCP servers, which is Serper for searching the internet, and then we'll also be creating Firecrawl, which we use to extract useful information from the pages from the relevant pages which we got from the internet. So let's get started. So what we do now is to launch an EC2 instance. So like I mentioned earlier, our EC2 instance will have our MCP server sub-processes running on it, and as well our web application, which was made with Streamlit. So we name our EC2 instance. Let's name it e-commerce agent. Then we come over here. We use an existing key pair. If you don't have any key pair, please, you can create a new key pair. But for this, I'll be using an existing key pair. To create a new key pair, it's very easy. Just click here. Then you select the pem.pem file. Then you click create key pair to be downloaded to your local computer. But for this case, I already have a key pair, so I'll be using MCP time as my key pair. Then also for security group, let's create a new security group, although I have one that is working already. But we'll create a new one. We'll also get to modify it later on in this particular video. We'll be using this 8GP3. There's no need to modify that. We'll launch our instance. Launch your instance. Okay, as our instance is launching, let's go and check out our code. So this is our main application made with Streamlit. So we'll briefly go over it. We have a sidebar which we use to input our keys, our access key, our region, our API keys, and others. But typically, you should have it here. So you are supposed to modify this file. You get your Serper IP key, then you get your Firecrawl. You update it here directly, more like this. So imagine your Serper IP key is something like this. So you update it there. So I don't have it here currently, but note that at one point in the video, I'll be modifying this particular file so it will carry my updated keys. So that is it for that file. Let's go back to our app.py. So that is it for this particular code, which is our application. So let's go back to our EC2 instance. We have created our EC2 instance successfully. So let's get started. We have a simple documentation for how we want to run this particular project. So it's a list of steps for us to follow so we can successfully run this project without having any errors. I'll also be passing this documentation on the description of this video, so check out the description to get the documentation for the project. So the first thing we do here is to launch an EC2 instance, and it says we should enable SSH for port 22, and then we should enable custom TCP for port 8501. Then we'll connect to our instance via SSH. So going back to our instance, we have successfully launched our instance. So we were told to enable ports, custom TCP ports. Let's see that again, port 8501, which is the port for Streamlit. First, to enable custom TCP port 8501, We come over here to security group. We do that in security group. So you come over here to security group. You click here. So you open your security group. Then this is where you modify the inbound and the outbound rules. You already have SSH here for port 22. So you add a new group. It says custom TCP. Then you add the ports over here. Then you allow traffic from anywhere. You save this. Go back to your instance. So the reason we enabled ports, we enabled the custom TCP for port 8501. It's because that is what our Streamlit uses for communicating with our front end or with our own local computer or browser. That is what our Streamlit uses for communicating with our browser. So let's go back to our EC2 instance. You get to your IP address for your EC2 instance. Going back to your documentation, it says connect to your EC2 instance via SSH. Before that, you open your terminal. Then you use the SSH command to connect to your instance. So if you check my folder, my current folder, you see that I have a folder here where I have my MCP time.pem file, which we use to connect to our instance, so SSH. For instance type, we use EC2 user. Then your IP address. Okay, we successfully connected to our instance. So what next are we supposed to do? We update our packages because at this point we want to install the MCP runtime for both Serper and for Firecrawl. Going back, the next thing is to let's install node 22. Okay, and the next is to install UV. Then we install no. This is to verify our installment of node. Yes, we have version 22. Then verify we have UV installed. Yes, we also have UV installed. So we make a directory called MCP commerce agent, and we'll move directly into the directory. Okay. So this point now, it's for us to, so we want to copy the file we have on our local computer into our EC2 instance. So for this, you need to open a new terminal. So what we want to do here is we want to copy the .env file, we want to copy the app.py file, I want to copy the requirements.txt file. So recall, I said at one point in this video I'll change the contents of the .env file. So assuming I've done that already, so that's why I can copy the contents. The .env file at the moment carries my IP, carries my key API keys and my access keys. So let's see what we are trying to do here. Let's see what we're trying to do. So we are in the right directory, okay. Oh, we need to update the IP address over here. So come over here. And then on our EC2 instance, remember we created a folder called MCP Commerce Agents. So that is the folder we want to move these files into. Let's run the command. I think everything is correct. Let's run the command. Okay, we have moved our app.py. We will move our requirements.txt, but we didn't move our .env file. So let's focus directly on the .env. So go over here, modify it to .env. Yeah, we did that as well. So we have successfully moved our .env file. So you can come over here and confirm that the files are here. To see the .env file, you have to list everything. Yes, see our .env file over here. So the files are complete. So going back to the documentation. So the next thing is to install Python 3.11. And the reason we are installing Python 3.11, by default, Amazon Linux OS for EC2 usually comes with Python, but it comes with Python 3.9. So we'll be installing Python 3.11 as our MCP servers, they require Python 3.11 for them to run. We need to create a virtual environment. And we need to activate our virtual environment. Okay, we have activated our environment. Then we'll come over here. Okay, we'll force Python to install the tools. So now we're installing our MCP tools, we're installing our Serper, we're installing the MCP for Firecrawl as well. Okay, we need to give it a little bit of time to complete the installation. Okay, now we can continue. Okay, so start our Streamlit. Okay, our Streamlit is started successfully. So going back to the documentation, we go to the specific IP address. So if you notice, we are particularly using the port 8501, and we have successfully allowed traffic on that port for our EC2 instance. So you should expect to access our web page. So go back, get your IP address, and you update it. Okay. Yes, you are not communicating with your EC2 instance through a secure connection, so you should expect to see this. But you click on continue to site anyways. Okay, so our Streamlit application is starting. So let's take this to the side. So the point of this is just in case you want to update your IP key, your Serper key, your AWS Bedrock access key, or secret access key, you can do that directly from the interface. But I suggest you do it on the .env file, and if you need to make any changes, you update it over there and then you push it back. So let's go for a simple query like find me blue. Let's go for red dinner dresses for Valentine. Okay. It will take some time to complete, but to completely get what we need, because like I said, it's a loop. So it's just the agent just communicating with itself and trying to get what we need and trying to communicate with other tools on the internet as well. So it just loops within itself to see Step one is to get the search query and then call the tool for search and pass the query to search. And then we are communicating with Serper tool for search at this point. So Serper gets the query, searches the internet and returns a list of relevant website URLs. And then it gets back to the agent. The agent takes the list of search URL, website URL. Then it calls the next tool. With the next tool, in this case, it's scrape, which is Firecrawl, which is to scrape the contents of these websites or these URLs. So it calls Firecrawl. It says scrape the contents of this URL, get the relevant details for the products, the name, the description, the image URL, the product URL, and the other thing we mentioned on our prompt. So Firecrawl gets these details, gets back to the agent, then the agent extracts these details, converts into a JSON file for each of those relevant websites, and aggregates everything into a JSON response for us, which will be used to display on this interface or the website. Okay, it's done. Yeah, it's done. So let's go back to the top. So it says tool call, click to expand. So this has the details of what it sent for each tool. This point is the Firecrawl search. These are the list of relevant websites for my search. So it shows you the data for every tool call, just in case you need to check it out in depth. And it says perfect. I found some gorgeous wedding addresses that will be absolutely stunning for Valentine's Day. This range from elegant midi dresses to glamorous evening gowns, with options from trading brands like Lulu's to luxury designers at Nordstrom's and Macy's, all relevant. So you can view the JSON response, but it's not relevant for us at this point. So these are the dresses it found. Okay, you can see the images. Then you can view the products to take you directly to the product page. Okay, this is for Lulu's. So let's skip Lulu's. Let's go for Ralph Lauren at this point. So it should be a different website. So we found this on Macy's. So you see. Okay, I think this is good enough. So what we do is we want to try out another query. So we refresh the page so that we can at least get rid of the current history. So we don't want the queries to be too large, to be too bulky, because that will increase the cost of running the service also. So let's go for something like white Jordan shoes. So let's go for this one. So while it's trying to get the response, so let me show you how you get your AWS. Let me show how you get your AWS Bedrock ID. So come over here at Bedrock, where you get your Bedrock model ID. Come over here at Bedrock. So you come over here at model catalog. You see a list of models. You see models from Amazon, you see models from Anthropic, you see models from DeepSeek, Mistral, OpenAI, Google. You see various open source models as well, but I like the Anthropic models better. So for the model I'm using is Sonnet 4.5. You come over here to Sonnet. Then to get the model ID, come over here to model ID. You copy this. So this is what you use. You update into your .env file. So note that this is not free. This service is not free at all. Before you can even access this service, you must have a valid debit card or credit card on your pricing page on Amazon. On AWS, you have a valid debit card or credit card, so they will be able to bill you for using this service. So it's not free at all. So to view the pricing, come over here to pricing, model pricing. So this is where you see more details about the model pricing. As you can see, we have our response already. The products found: Air Jordan, You can see the various products we got. Okay, so that is it for this page. I think the page is, you can use this page for, I think you can improve on this page and it can become an actual product which you can make a business out of. So when you are done, remember you are paying for these services, especially for your EC2 instance and your model ID. So your EC2 instance, you come by here, you stop your instance. That's where you terminate your instance, not stop. If you stop it, you still get billed. So you terminate your instance. So as you can see, our EC2 instance have successfully terminated. When you refresh this, it won't show up again. Yeah, it won't show up again. So let me take you through Firecrawl. Firecrawl is what we use for scraping the web pages we retrieve. So for this account, I've logged in already, so you can't see sign in, sign up. So for you see sign in, sign up over here. Then you can create an account, and it's easy. You can use your Google, your Gmail, or your Outlook account, email to create an account on Firecrawl. So if you click on dashboard, when you log in, click on dashboard, it will take you to the dashboard. So over here you see your API key. So this is my API key. You can as well come over here to see your API key. So this is your API key for Firecrawl. This is what you put on your .env file. Then for Serper, I'm already logged in here, but let's go to the home page. Yes, so this is Serper. Recall Serper is what we use for search. It uses Google under the hood. Yeah, so I'm logged in here. So you come over, you see your API keys. Yes, so that is it for Serper. So that is what we have for this particular video, MCP e-commerce agent. So I've also done a video about a time MCP agent where we had an agent that was able to convert between different time zones. Thank you for following this channel. Thank you for liking this video. I recommend you try out this project on your own. And if you know someone who needs this knowledge, you can share the video as well with that person. We remain AI and cloud tech. We'll continue to give you relevant videos relating to AI and cloud engineering projects. Thank you.
Your gateway to AI and the cloud. We make videos showing you the latest in tech, and we break down the real-world use cases. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching.